Hello everyone, welcome to AP History. Now this is going to be a series taking us from the prehistoric times all the way to the modern era. So it's going to be quite a lengthy series, but I believe we're going to have a very interesting and informative journey together. Now, this series actually takes inspiration from this amazing book called World Civilizations, which I highly recommend everyone to check out. Now, this is actually a summarized version of this book, as well as some of my own additions to hopefully make the series a bit more interesting and slightly more complete for everyone. Now, as we are starting from the prehistoric times, it's only fitting that we start with the Paleolithic Age. Now, this book actually only starts at the late Paleolithic Age. However, I sort of want the entire timeline, so I have my own slides here. Now, the Paleolithic Age is also known as the Old Stone Age, as some of you may recognize. And it is actually the longest period in human history, right? And since it's so long, historians have split it into 4 parts. So the early Paleolithic, the early Middle Paleolithic, the late Middle, and the late Paleolithic, right? Now, today we're going to try to finish all of them, and yes. Now, the people living in this age are mainly hunter-gatherers. Now, if any of you don't know what this term is, it's pretty self-explanatory, right? Hunter, everyone knows what hunter is. And gather, meaning they gather foods in the wild. So mainly men go out to hunt, while women go out to collect, say, berries or nuts. So these are called hunter-gatherers. Of course, in the late Paleolithic Age, a bit of farming was also introduced. But we're going to get to that later. Now, in the early Paleolithic Age, from 700,000 BCE to 70,000 BCE, we had the Homo erectus. Now, historians believe they actually migrated to the south, to the Nile actually, in search of, better weather conditions mainly. Now, at this time, they actually already knew how to use the fire, which is actually a really big achievement, as fire is, one of, if not the most important discovery in human history, as well as the hand axe. Now, the reason why the hand axe is so important is because first of all, it is the oldest tool, and was also the only tool for 500,000 years. So as you can see here, very evidently so, development was very slow in this time. Now, a bit more about the hand axe. It's mainly used for smashing things that are softer than them. Say, if they want to open a fruit or something like that. So it wasn't mainly used for hunting, but rather for more everyday use. However, as it was the only tool, we can assume that it was used for a lot more than that, right? And of course, it's made from stone, of course, as it is in the Stone Age, after all. Now, with the emergence of, the Neanderthals, in the early Middle Paleolithic, ranging from 70,000 to 43,000 BCE. Now, people think of them as sort of savages. However, that's not really true, as they buried their dead and took care of the elderly and children. So, are they really brutes? Well, that is still up for debate. Now, due to their more complex flaking technique, a lot more specialized tools were made, such as, for example, a scraper, or just a variety of different tools, even something alongside a knife, as you can see here, used for cutting, right? Or you can see here, this is a scraper, as you would call it. Now, many of these tools were found in the Egyptian desert, further concreting our hypothesis that humans migrated to the Nile, or at least in the surrounding areas. And also that they moved out due to harsh weather conditions, right? Because in this time, the Nile, in Africa, also in Egypt, the weather was actually good. So there were trees, there were leaves, the river. It was actually the perfect living condition, right? And of course, the Nile, because, throughout history, humans like to settle near rivers, right? Now, in the late Middle Paleolithic Age, we have the Homo sapiens, our ancestors. Now, they had bigger brains, so they had a lot more inventions, which is what makes them stand out, right? Now, they actually migrated to the swamps. Actually, they went near the swamps because the Nile was experiencing a dry period, right? A drying period. So there wasn't really enough water, so they had to migrate near the swamps. And the sickle was invented. So this was huge. So was the arrow and bow. Also huge. Now, at this time, the sickle actually wasn't used for collecting crops, such as wheat, but it was mainly used for caring for the crops. So it wasn't used solely for farming, not solely for farming. It was used for farming, but it didn't exactly improve their farming speed by all that much, right? That's what I'm trying to say. But the bow and arrow was indeed huge, as this was a very effective weapon that actually utilized energy, helping people save energy, helping these Homo sapiens save energy to hunt animals or beasts or whatever they want to hunt in a safer range. Now, because of all of these inventions, they were able to live in groups of 25 to 50. So it was almost like villages or tribes now. However, their life expectancy was still around 30 years. So this really highlights how harsh the living conditions truly were. Now, quick summarize. The Paleolithic Age, also called the Old Stone Age, right? And we don't really need to look at that. However, the Homo sapiens emerged by 10,000 BCE, and because of their larger brains, it allowed for a lot more variety of tools and weapons. Now, this is not exactly important. However, we do want to note that since the beginning of the Paleolithic Age, humans have invented a sort of language. It may not be a fully mature language system. However, they were able to use language to, say, help with their daily lives. So, for example, if a group were hunting, they would be able to shout to signal them if there was a beast nearby or to warn other people. So there were indeed languages, and historians, they believe that humans actually originated from Africa and they spread out across the world. Now, because their living conditions have truly improved, this allowed the time for development of symbolic thoughts. So, in this case, art, such as cave paintings, carvings, etc. Right? So this is actually where, say, civilization actually began. So, yes, that is it for this video. Look forward to the next one, as we are going to be, we're going to be ending the Paleolithic Age. We're going to be talking about the transition phase, as well as the Neolithic Age. Now, so I hope you had fun. If there's any questions, feel free to ask below. And yes, hope to see you in the next video. Bye-bye.